my colleague from the NFL Media Group, back here on the Rich Eisen Show with the latest as we get set for Week 13, kicking off tomorrow night on the Triple Cast on NFL Network, Amazon Prime, and, of course, Fox between the Cowboys and Saints. Ian Rapoport back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Ian?
I'm a little confused.
Why?
To me, isn't it obvious how good of a job LSU is? I mean, Notre Dame is a definitely a good job, and historically, like if you believe in pomp and circumstance and name recognition and all of that, like Notre Dame would be a cool job to have had. But as far as like having the opportunity to win a national championship, like isn't it obvious that LSU is much better? I mean, they have the entire state of Louisiana, which is a talent-rich state to themselves. It is a highly recognizable name. They have incredible facilities. They have a great fan base. You get to eat gumbo all the time. It's one of the best jobs in the country.
No, and in terms of putting a football team together, I imagine, with all due respect, and I know you have an SEC background, Ian Rapoport, that with all due respect to whoever this individual is, I imagine if you're comparing provosts, the LSU provost compared to Notre Dame's is like a turnstile compared to Notre Dame's. So when you're trying to
Even just as far as the academic.
When you're being told you can get that kid in and you can't get that kid in, I'm sure LSU is just like, bring it. What do you got? And Notre Dame's like, I don't know. I'm sure there's so many different ways that Brian Kelly can build a championship team that he hasn't been able to or found a lot of headwinds attempting to at Notre Dame, I imagine. I mean, that's got to be part of the allure as well for him to go,
Yeah, I mean, and he's come close at Notre Dame. I mean, he's been in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, probably, right? So, I mean, he's definitely had good teams, but like Les Miles won a national championship at LSU.
No, I know that. My point about all this is, Ian, because again,
no offense, Michigan man, I know.
No, because my college, yours is Alabama, correct, Ian Rapoport? Right? You've spent some time in Alabama.
Well, no, covered... I mean, I went to Columbia, but I covered Mississippi State, where my lovely wife went, which is the team I root for now. I covered Alabama for 3 years.
So you've been there.
I feel like I have a fairly intricate knowledge.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Correct. So, my I guess hub is the Midwest, and anybody who's been rooting for college football in the Midwest or went to school there in the Midwest, the number of times you'd run into Notre Dame fans and they would tell you that they're just different. They're separate from everybody else. They are, even though we're competing against each other for recruits and on occasion on the football field. Oh my goodness gracious, they're different. They're better. They even have a higher power that we don't have. Right? So you'd hear that. So to see a coach basically pass Newt Rockne and then look around the landscape and get more money and then a better spot like that, this is what we would call, we in the Midwest would call a field day moment for us, is what I'm saying, Ian. You know what I mean?
I mean, and look, I feel like I can be as petty as anyone. I respect the pettiness.
Oh, I'm on a petty tour right now. It's this petty palooza with me right now, Ian, this week.
You're Tom Petty.
Oh, I'm Tom Petty. Yeah. I'm all the Richard. I'm name a petty. Lori Petty. Give me a petty. That's who I am this
Lori
week.
Petty.
Lori
Petty. She was in Point Break, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Ian Rapoport, everybody.
Great.
Information man. All right, let's get to the I guess the NFL part of this. Was an NFL coach reached out to by LSU or USC at all? Did Tomlin really have a tire kicked, or that was just a wish list and all that?
I mean, I would say I have no idea whether or not he really did, but the problem with reporting on colleges, like the interest of college programs, is that it is not like an NFL program where the owner reaches out to the agent and starts a dialogue. Like in the NFL, if you have interest, like the owner calls the coaching agent, they have some background conversations in November and December. You kind of start the process and you go from there. In college, like let's just say, for instance, that Oklahoma was interested in Kliff Kingsbury. Let's just say that. Well, the way it works is the relative of a booster or the high school friend of a booster reaches out to a high school coach that knows Kliff Kingsbury well. He goes, hey, man, like, would you be would your guy be interested? And he goes, I don't know. Like, let me run it by two different people. And then they tell someone, and that someone else tells Kingsbury, and then he either says yes or no. Like, that's the way it works in college. So I would imagine, because there's no, like, official dialogue until you're basically getting ready to give a guy a job. Like, it's not a real interview process here. It's like an anointing process. So, you know, I would imagine that every major college opening reached out to several NFL coaches, including NFL coaches with college backgrounds. It seems like they all got to know, and then everybody's moving forward.
Well, how do you think the price tags for Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly at USC and LSU, respectively, will affect the price tags for head coaches in the NFL? Because, I mean, the Brian Kelly deal that he got, just in terms of terms and dollars, and it looks just like the Gruden deal that we were all wondering why the Raiders bestowed on John, right, a couple of years ago with the tenure and the dollars. That's what you're seeing right now from LSU. And, you know, you throw in a couple of bought houses and private jets for Lincoln Riley, and suddenly, do you think some NFL head coaches today are going, what's up with that? You think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. You know, the college contracts have always been weird. They've always been insanely long-term, because if they're not long-term, then someone recruits against you, and it's like, this guy's not staying there forever. So some genius came up with the idea, we're just going to lock these guys in for 10 years. You know, Mel Tucker gets a 35-year contract, but, like, can get out kind of whenever he wants. Like, so the contracts are all, it's real money, but the contracts are all fake. You can get out of any of them. The NFL contracts aren't like that, because I think if you're an NFL coach, like, let's say you're Kliff Kingsbury, right? You have one more year left, and then you have an option year. You don't want a long-term deal. You'd rather a short-term deal. Kingsbury's getting ready to make a lot of money. I mean, he really is. So, like, he'd rather a short-term deal where he can re-up rather than a 10-year deal where that's what he's getting.
All right, that's twice you've mentioned his name. Is he interested in any of these jobs, Ian? Kingsbury?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Why does Urban Meyer's name keep coming up? Because we all just like talking about him, and he now has as many losses in his first 11 games as head coach of the Jaguars he had in the entire time at Ohio State. Is that what we're talking about?
Is that true?
That is true. Yeah, that's true. Huh?
The reason we're talking about Urban Meyer is because we want to talk about Urban Meyer.
Okay.
And I think that's what happens a lot of times with these things. Like, you know, first of all, again, let's just play the make-believe game or whatever. Let's just say Urban Meyer is interested in one of these jobs. Let's say he's interested in Notre Dame. So they are not going to wait until mid-January or the first week of January to hire. It is not going to happen. They'd lose an entire recruiting class. In college, at his currency, it will never happen. No one waits. So for Urban Meyer to leave the Jaguars for Notre Dame, he would have to leave now, right now, take the job, give his players the finger on the way out, give them the Petrino, I think is the proper term, write a little letter and put it in their lockers or whatever it is, and then that would be it. And his reputation would be ruined for a long time. Petrino never got over it. I mean, he got money, he got a lot of money, but he never got over his reputation as a complete, you know, whatever. I don't see anyone in the NFL doing that. I really don't.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about the Cowboys and the Saints. Who do you think is going to be active and inactive for that one as we're close to 24 hours of kickoff?
So let's start with the Cowboys. You know, it doesn't sound. We'll see if he practices today, but it does not sound great for Amari Cooper. He is unvaccinated. He had COVID. He is still having symptoms, and it does seem like the players, just judging from their own interviews, the players who are not vaccinated who get COVID do seem to get hit very hard, and it sounds like Amari Cooper got hit very hard. You know, is he ready to play a game after being out 10 days, having no conditioning, and still being sick? Seems far-fetched to me, so that doesn't seem great. CeeDee Lamb does seem like he's going to play. I would expect him to come off the injury report. Today's Wednesday. Today, so that is good news. As far as the quarterback, I would expect it to be Taysom Hill, who got first-team reps this week in practice, and who maybe kickstarts the offense, or maybe they realize not. Now they'll get some players back, but not all of them.
Is Kamara one of those players that comes back, do you think, for the Saints?
You know, we'll see on the injury report today, but I don't get a great feeling on Kamara. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, he's banged up. He's got his knee. It's been a while. Like, He's still limited. Anything's possible, but I don't feel very good about it. No.
I guess Cedric Wilson's another one because we're talking about a depth chart. He had an ankle injury despite having 100 yards receiving on Thanksgiving Day. What do you think about him? Certainly, if Cooper doesn't look like he's going to be able to go. You know,
I do not feel good things about Cedric Wilson as well. So I know he's been out the last 2 days. I don't believe he is going to play.
Wow. And, of course, Mike McCarthy's not going to be there, and Dan Quinn's coming down from the booth. They're really going to remove him from his physical place of coordinating them that's worked so well all year so they can get him down on the field to run the show.
I was a little surprised at that.
I am, too, to be honest with you. I mean, that one kind of surprised me. Like, I wouldn't want to touch the coordinators. That's what the Raiders did when Gruden disappeared suddenly.
That's what most people do.
You know?
Poof, there goes Gruden. Yeah, I mean, it's, keep everything as the same as possible. And I don't mean to minimize the role of the head coach, but, like, game day responsibilities is some, but physically being on the sidelines is not, like, of the utmost importance. Like, what's the difference, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. I was a little surprised about that.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is the scoop with Dalvin Cook? You were right in the middle of all that this week.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with that? I mean, you report that his labrum's torn, and Mike Zimmer says it's possible he plays this week. What's going on?
Yes. I noted the comments of esteemed head coach Mike Zimmer. I like Mike Zimmer. He has his viewpoint, and I have what I believe is the facts according to a source. Several sources, actually. Torn labrum. He actually has another torn labrum, so he's got 2 torn labrums.
Wow.
Was playing with one of them, and does not sound like he is going to play for 2 weeks, which is bad. But on the other hand, like, you see someone get carted off with what looks like a significant injury, and then they grab at an area that seems to be their pec. That's worrisome, extremely worrisome. The fact that it's a torn labrum and he could only miss 2 weeks and then be back for, I believe, the Monday nighter against the Bears, I think is their game in 3 weeks. That's really good. So, nothing great, but certainly a much better situation than he could have been.
And what's the scoop with Rodgers' toe? Is it true? Like, I mean, you hear surgery and you think, oh my God, a foot surgery is significant. And then he says that it's possible he could have it on a Monday and he's playing on a Sunday, and you could put nothing past him. So what do you have on that?
He's right about the timing. So I was told no surgery, but they are going to follow up, basically, like he said, on Monday and just see. As of now, no surgery, just rest. They hope it heals by itself. If they got surgery, it would stabilize it and basically kind of make it immobile, and have that help the healing. But he's right. I mean, sounds like a very quick and minor surgery, which, it's like my dad always says, minor surgery is on somebody else.
Right.
But if he had it on Monday, he would be fine to play on Sunday.
And then what about the Cardinals? We're just assuming they're coming off of a bye, and it'll be Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, and the good times rolling again. Is that the way it's trending in Arizona?
Ow, I just punched my ceiling by accident. Sorry.
Careful. Wow, what a ceiling. That must be very low for you, Ian.
I don't know what you mean, Rich.
No, I'm just saying you punch a ceiling. I mean, I couldn't punch. I couldn't punch the ceiling right here. Are you in the car? Are you in a car?
No, I'm roaming my basement office. I got the flu vaccine today, so I'm trying to do like circles with my left arm because that apparently makes it so it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
That actually works, but that's what they tell me.
All right.
Anyway.
Okay, very good.
I have a very low ceiling in my.
Are you questionable for Sunday? Is that what you're telling everybody right here? You're questionable for game day morning on Sunday, or what?
We don't have a problem. We don't have a probable designation anymore.
Okay.
So I would just say I will be off the injury report by Sunday.
Okay, no designation whatsoever. Very good.
No designation.
What are we
talking about? Cardinals.
Yes.
Cardinals.
Yes.
It seems like they're going in the right direction. I mean, we'll see what they're listed as, but I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys are full participants today, kind of paving the way for them to play on Sunday. And they withstood it, right? They had 2 of the top guys out. They went 2-1 with Colt McCoy. That is how you do it if you're an elite team in the NFL.
All right, last one for you, Ian. How many coaching vacancies do you think there's going to be? It's now December 1st. Usually this is the time when we start to think about it because there's only a month left in the season. This time around, it's 6 weeks left in the season. So I'm front-loading the conversation. How many coaching vacancies do you think there will be in the National Football League coming up?
Usually it's the same number. Usually it's 6 to 8. I don't get any sense it would be less than usual. No, I'm not sure the pool of candidates is so fantastic, but I would say 6 to 8 is probably the ballpark there. I mean, there'll be a surprise like always, but I think it's going to be kind of like a usual year, would be my guess.
All right, Ian. Thanks for the time. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. You be well.
All right, good stuff, Rich. Talk to you on Sunday.
Right back at you. That's at Rap Sheet. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.